Welcome and good evening, everyone. Today we will be talking about who you are, your identity, and important conversations in the Black community. Although our target audience are Black people, we still want other people of other races to engage with us in order to know how to treat us Black people and be a part of our healing process. But also allow yourself to do some self reflections of your own culture. Let's talk about who we are. Hello, everyone, again. My name is Camry Cam Moses. I'm 17 years old. Even though I find my name easy to pronounce, others have difficulty, so many times I go by Cam. For professional purposes, please call me Camry Moses because I'm trying to boost my Google search. Aside from that, I am the creator of Chaos Smoothies, which was established in February of 2018. My bad. That business is literally like my baby. I also attend the Elite Western High School, as I said before. I'm a senior, so I will be graduating next year. I'm a John Hopkins Youth Advisory Board member for the Center for Adolescent Health, which is youth led and helps to make informed decisions by the youth for the youth. And lastly, I'm a youth advocate and a Healing Youth Ambassador, which brings me with you here all today. So I've chosen to be a part of Healing Youth Alliance because I find being knowledgeable about mental health extremely crucial, especially being in COVID. And I really think this is something that we all should know about. I will now let my partner introduce herself.
Good evening. My name is Ania McNair. I'm 17 years old. I am an entrepreneur that is purpose. So purpose represents strength and humility and the omnipotence of God. I also have my own nonprofit organization called Not for Sale, where we focus on spreading awareness on human trafficking. I am a senior at Reginald Influence High School, and I'm also a Healing Youth Ambassador. I wanted to be a part of Healing Youth Alliance, as you probably heard on the mainstream, was because Black mental health is really important. Throughout
Thank you, Anir, for introducing yourself. That was a lovely introduction. Okay, so these are the objectives. After all of this is said and done, you all will be able to rethink our reality. So a lot of times, with us bringing up important conversations, we don't know about different issues, but right now we're going to open your eyes to a lot of issues. So when you come to this space, be really open-minded. Secondly, you'll be able to make connections between healing-centered engagement and effects of negative stereotypes. Thirdly, we will be more knowledgeable and make connections between modern day and history. So a lot of time the historical trauma that we all face is becoming a repeating cycle. And how can we stop that cycle? Second to last, we'll acknowledge race-based differences. Even though there shouldn't be race-based differences, they still exist. So how are we going to go back and change that? And lastly, we're going to think about how we can influence a change in our mistreatment. What is going to be your call to action after all of this is said and done? How are we going to change this mistreatment? And I want you to think about this all throughout this presentation. Sorry, y'all. My mute button wasn't it was acting up. So right now we're going to start with an activity, and this is coping skills bingo. So to the right of the screen, you see the bingo card. So it has certain coping skills such as eating healthy, singing, making a playlist, doing yoga, and this this card, the bingo card, will be dropped in the chat. But if you aren't able to access the bingo card, you can take a screenshot of it. So in order to take a screenshot on the MacBook, you can press Shift Command 4 and drag it over the bingo icon. And if you're unable to do this step, either take mental note or type the column, letter, and row. So for example, if you sing, you would put I, that's the column letter, row 1, because sing is in row 1. You can put an X over the things that you do to cope. And while me and Ania are talking about the things we do, you all will be completing the bingo. And I want you guys to say it verbally because this is a chance for us all to connect. And I don't want you guys to be scared to put anything in the chat because we really want to hear your voices. And that's why we're having this conversation. The conversation can't just be between my partner and I, but something that's going to be a community thing. That's why we're doing it, right? Healing sensitive engagement. And lastly, the prize for this is a $10 virtual gift card. So you can pick your payment. So you can do PayPal, Cash App, really name your thing. So we'll get into that. So Anita, what's some of the coping skills that you do?
So I know that sometimes if I'm feeling stressed, I may take a shower or take a walk. Y'all might view me as a little kid on this one, but where I live at, there's a dollar store right down the street from me. So sometimes I'll go down to the dollar store, give me a balloon and a cup of ice cream, and I'll walk my tail right back in the house and just enjoy myself. And I listen to music most of the times because it brings me in a joyful mood, makes me smile. I be dancing. And I think I'm a singer most of the times, and I really can't sing. But that's one of the things, some of the things that I do to calm myself down. What about you, Cam?
So for me, I kind of do like different things. So a lot of times when I'm really like busy throughout the day and like I find myself like stressed out, at the end of the day, that's when I like order food. So, it's not the best thing to do, but Uber Eats, DoorDash, like you name it, I order from it. But now I've been trying to do like investing in Black businesses because, they're my community, they're my people, they care about me and they value me as a customer. So now I try to go and eat different things from Black people. And also, like, this is like little kiddish too. I eat popsicles like when I had a hard day. Like sometimes, when you start stressing, your head start hurting and everything. Sometimes you feel like you just want to lay down. I, eat my popsicle. And lastly, I do self care. So as y'all can see, my nails are done, my hair is done. That's a part of my self care routine. I have to get my hair done sometimes. I have to get my nails done sometimes, even though I may still work during these appointments. That's still my self care, taking care of myself, making sure I'm all right. Self talk as well, everything. So, while y'all guys are doing this bingo, think about if there aren't things that are in the on the card, you can drop those as well in the chat.
I'm curious on who had bingo. Like, I want to know what y'all do.
Y'all can say some of these things out loud too. I want to see like y'all hear your voices. Y'all can share if you guys want to.
Oh, someone said tidy up their space. Like, oh, cleaning is a good one too. Like keeping, I think like keeping your hands busy, or like cleaning is a real good one though. Like, come over to my house, hey.
So I will say positive affirmations. That's a biggie for me.
So what's some of the things that you say to yourself? Like what's some things you think that other people should say? Like
So
they
I
have to start their day with it.
I say I'm a capable, intelligent, virtuous woman. I live an overcoming life. Health and healing is my right. So those are some of the things that I say often, almost every morning, because I know them verbatim, and then throughout the day at times.
I love that. That's amazing. Y'all need to include some of that in your daily live. That's great right there. Y'all heard that? Virtuous. Use that. The next person can speak.
I know someone said prayer in the chat, which I do. Most of the times I pray, uh, talk to God, and I find that it helps me. It reminds me, like, Ania, this battle is not yours. You surrender it all. But anyone else can go, or if anyone doesn't want to go, we can keep moving forward.
Sometimes I like to take like a few deep breaths when I'm really stressed out in the moment. Just like take a minute and just close my eyes and take like 5 deep breaths just to kind of feel like I'm less detached.
Yo, that's my mentor. Yeah, I know that might seem like a little unprofessional, but that's my mentor, and I'm glad that she come on. She helped me cope because oftentimes when we get on those calls, I sit and I'll talk about my whole entire week. Like the week seems so busy, so she helped me cope too. So thank y'all. Thank my mentor, and I thank y'all for being here. Anybody get bingo yet?
I like to laugh. I laugh all the time with my family, and that just shows that I'm happy all the time.
I love that one. Laughing is real good medicine. I love me a good old laugh. Sometimes I watch America's Funniest Videos on TV. It cracks me up.
Sometimes I talk to my friends. I like to watch HDTV. I pray. I meditate. I exercise when I get a chance to on the Peloton. That's my daughter here. So those are some of the things that I like to do.
I like that. I like that. And Cam, you see in the chat,
Yeah, I
someone
see
got
somebody got bingo
bingo.
in the chat. I want y'all to say it out loud.
Lolo. Yeah, say bingo.
Miss Mo, how do you have them unmute?
Would you
Hey,
like
Winner, go ahead and give that a try.
Okay, I can unmute. I'm gonna unmute Miss Kenya and anyone else who says they can that wants to be unmuted.
I seen Simone Wilson had bingo first, I believe, but I see some more bingos in the chat. You can share though, Miss Simone. I see you here.
Okay, so for me, I got the whole bottom row of bingo. So I try to understand how I feel and why I feel that way. And then I try to just kind of keep positive. And then when I can, I try to go hang out with my friends because they kind of make me happy more so than being around a bad situation. And then when I can, I'll try to find somebody that I really trust and talk to an adult. And then find a funny movie or something and laugh about it.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on getting bingo. I'm sorry that it's been a little bit of technological difficulties. So yeah, we will be moving on to the next activity. But Miss Simone, could you drop which way that you would like to get your $10 virtual gift card? You can do Cash App, PayPal, and let me know. And I thank everyone for really sitting down and taking the time to engage with us to have this conversation on things that you use to cope. And be mindful that you're helping other people when you get a chance to speak. All right, so y'all see that in the objectives, we talked about healing sensitive engagement. So let's talk about what healing sensitive engagement is. Healing sensitive engagement is explicitly political rather than clinical. So it focuses on the things where we get trauma in our community. So like schools, work, playgrounds, and different things like that. So that's one aspect, one major theme. Secondly, it's culturally grounded and views healing as a restoration of identity. So all throughout this presentation, we'll be talking about historical trauma and things that we face and how that really relates to things that are going on now. So everyone's getting their identity restored now, knowing about all of the things that we will be discussing today. Thirdly, it's asset driven and focused on the well-being we want rather than symptoms we want to suppress. So recognize and acknowledge the great things we can do. A lot of people have great things that we can do. We're leaders. All of us are leaders. Everyone took the initiative to come on here to get to know more about themselves and how we all can heal as a community. So that's one thing that we're all already great at. But have some time to do a self-reflection on who you are and the great things that you have to offer to your community. And lastly, it supports adult providers with their own healing. So, I mean, even though we aren't adult providers, we still need to do that self-care to make sure we're all right, because how can we pour into your cups if we don't have our own cup full? So let's talk about this picture. All right. So on the right hand side of this diagram, you can see there's hope beyond hurt. So on the left hand side of the picture, it's talking about what those things you do if you won't be able to get healing. And on the right hand side, you can see the things you do in order to get healing. So trees grow, right? In order for them to grow, they pull from the roots, the things from the roots. So if you're pulling from poverty, loss, war, racism, you'll be getting things like headaches, racism, anger, fear. But if you really take the time out and go get the things that you really need to heal, like going to support groups, primary care, therapy, getting that knowledge, you all are really doing that now. You're getting that knowledge right now. And Healing Youth Alliance could be considered like a support group. We're here to help you all. We're here to have you talk about what's going on in your community and making sure that everything is going on right with you. And as a result, you're going to have that health, growth, fulfillment, hope. And with that hope piece, like we have hope for the community to get better. And that's why we're all here today, because we want to get better. And like I said again, there is hope beyond hurt. So even though we have been through those traumatic experiences, it's still hope for us to get better. Even though those situations won't technically be erased, we'll learn how to cope with them. Trauma and toxic stress involve feeling overwhelmed by difficult life experiences that can lead to physical, emotional, and substance use problems. We can help, and healing is possible. So please keep tuning in with this presentation, and we're the Healing Youth Alliance, y'all. All right, so all throughout today's presentation, we have 4 important conversations that we want to have, but through this YouTube video, it's by Joyner Lucas, I'm Not a Racist, and it basically discusses a conversation between a white man and a black man and the different perspectives in the community. So this was posted on YouTube November 28, 2017, and has over 1.5 million views. We chose not to show video clips because it has a lot of vulgar language. So it says the N-word often, it curses, and we want to, make sure that it's something that you guys want to hear. So we quoted it instead. And I want to give all props to Ania for choosing us to do this. And this is something really different, a different approach that I love that she brought to the table. So let's get into it. Okay. So the first important conversation states, judging me by my skin color and my blackness, trying to find a job, but ain't nobody call me back yet. Now I got to sell drugs to put food in my cabinet. If you really sit back and think, no one really wants to ever sell drugs. But because we have that access issue where it's more difficult for us to go and get those jobs, it's like we have to resort to the more negative way of getting money. Because if we aren't able to get jobs, how are we going to support our family? So it kind of puts us in a difficult position and has us think on what things we can do. And honestly, when we sit back, it's like going to sell drugs. A lot of young black men view it as easy, fast money. If getting access to those more positive opportunities, those more positive jobs was a thing, then we wouldn't have to go and sell drugs to make sure our family is all right. And that's something we shouldn't have to do. So think about what are some of the things that we can do to make access better for the people that are in more important roles in the community and more important roles in society. How can we help people that aren't necessarily in that place of access? How can we have people be in a more positive place? In this picture, the picture is like blurred in the background, and the man is head on. He's a black man. He's like head on, ready for the challenge. So he's just trying to get ready for the things that are out there for him. Like this is something that's really difficult. Because of our color, we're judged. It shouldn't be a judge thing. This is showing right here, addressing one of those race-based differences. A lot of people, like especially white people being the majority race, they have better opportunities and more access to opportunities. So how can we make sure that we get to a place like that. And in the words, it says people of color experience discrimination at every stage of the criminal justice system. We wouldn't really have problems with the justice system if we had more access to their opportunities. Because, like I said, nobody wants to go sit and sell drugs. But because we don't have access to those opportunities, now we're facing the issue too with the criminal justice system and doing things that we don't really want to do in order to support our families. So the second important conversation, heard there's not enough jobs for all the men in your house. Maybe we should build a wall to keep the Mexicans out. Or maybe we should send them all to the ghetto for now. Right here in this important conversation is from the white man's perspective. So he doesn't think that Black men have enough, it's not enough jobs for that. We have a lot of people in our houses, and ghetto is now associated with Black people. And then because we're now considered ghetto, Mexicans have people have negative stigmas with Mexicans as well. White people have negative stigmas with Mexicans as well. All white people aren't the same, but there are negative stereotypes about Mexicans as well. So now they're associating us all in the ghetto and all in the negative space. So in this next slide, I want you all to think about this statement, them saying there's not enough jobs for all the men in our house, but also comparing it to the stats I'm about to show you.
Oh yeah, Cam, before we move on to that one, I want everyone to remember where ghetto came from. It was a Jewish term during the Holocaust. So see how those roles changed and how they perform in ghetto in the Black community, where in history it was Jewish during the Holocaust. So let's point that out there. We can go to the next slide, Cam.
Okay, so in this slide, you'll see a graph that basically shows the labor force participation rates. So how many jobs are there? So in total, you can see it's around that 62% range. White people are about 62.5%, and Black people are like 61.5%. We're all like, even just looking beyond white and Black people and looking at Asian, American Indian, Native Hawaiian, we're all around that 60% range. But you also have to remember that we have to kind of work harder to get around to that rate. Like things such as we're judged on things such as Black names when we go to do interviews. A lot of times people won't hire us because of Black names or whatever and view us as ghetto. But it shouldn't have to be a thing like that. Even though it's showing that we're all around a similar rates, with basically disqualifies that there aren't enough jobs for people in our house. It is way more than that. We have to work harder. A lot of times it's easier access with other races. So how are we going to change that? And this moves me on to this next question about boundaries. So are you surprised by these statistics? Why not? And I can go back and go to the stats, but right now I'm going to allow Ania to answer this question first.
Let's go back to that slide. Okay. I was a little bit surprised on the statistics, and this whole it was just very interesting. I thought we would have a lower number of statistics because of the previous slides that we already talked about. And I was also kind of surprised about the Native Hawaiian and other islanders. Like I was just like really surprised. But overall, I mean, it's speaking facts. So Cam, you want to say anything?
Honestly, I was surprised as well. Like I was thinking that because we have to work harder, like it wasn't as many opportunities and things like that. And like with other people's experiences with, like, for example, my dad, when he was going out for different jobs, like he had to do like 5 interviews at a time or like every month or so to really go and get a job. And it's more difficult. But when other people, like such as white people, I feel like they have better access, which is the truth, because everyone experienced it. But what's some things that you think that should be, are you surprised by these?
You can also feel free to respond in the chat as well. But I also want to point out like what kind of jobs, because like you can separate from like standard business jobs, and then you also have people who are entrepreneurs. So like I wonder, was that like for business jobs specifically? And like, there's different kinds of jobs that have a higher rate of what race who are in those specific positions and who has those jobs. But we can keep moving forward. Y'all can feel free to respond in the chat.
Yes, please respond in the chat.
Okay, so important conversation number 3. Screaming all lives matter is a protest to my protest. What kind of stuff is that? And that's one war you will never win. The power in the word inward is a different sin. We shouldn't say it, but we do, and that's just what it is. But that don't mean you can say it just because you got inward friends. Inward, my bad. Inward, that word was originated for you to keep us under. And when we use it, we know that's how we greet each other. And when you use it, we know there's a double meaning under. And even though I wasn't picking cotton physically, that doesn't mean I'm not affected by the history. So let's get into this slide. I feel like this is a very important conversation that we need to have, because that N word is, I think people have some kind of confusion on that word and who can and who cannot say it. Me as an African American female and someone calling me that N word, the N word is very disrespectful. Even if they wasn't trying to say it in a disrespectful way, you have to understand the history behind that N word sets off a trigger. And I might not notice that I might get triggered because I'm an African American female and I know where that word came from. So let's pull up these pictures. So who can say the N word? Can I say it? So are you Black? Yes, I am Black. It's my choice to say that word. I don't have to say that word. And not all Black people feel comfortable. And some people, Black people might not feel comfortable using that word and don't want to use that word. If you're not Black, can you say that word? No, ma'am, no, sir. Is it your choice? No, ma'am, no, sir. So here's, so the N word was a racial back in the 1800s.
And then it's cutting out.
That word, it was Black, dark. Can y'all? I'm good now.
Say something else.
All right, so you cannot say the word. So why that was as the statement keeps Black people under. And
then I'm gonna pick it up for you. Let me know when your internet.
So and pull up that next.
I can hear you a little bit. Okay, so basically what Ania was about to say, so no, even if it's in the lyrics of your favorite song, even if you didn't mean any harm, even if you didn't say it with the heart, or and even if your Black friend gave you a pass, even if it isn't a big deal to you, you can't say it. Like Black people now, we're kind of trying to take power back over that derogatory term meant to oppress us. Now it's something, even though we're not supposed to really do it, it's a term of endearment. When we say it, it's like, I mean, well, I'm not going to say it, but that's like an endearment for us. But with other people, they can't say it because of that historical trauma that we face because of people calling us the N word. So, Anea, what's some boundaries that you think we should set for people of other races? And even if you aren't Black, what are some boundaries that you set for other races?
Am I good now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can hear you. You good.
All right, cool. So I know one of the boundaries, I'm not personally, I think a hair one is a big one, where I used to have locks, and I'm not saying other nationalities can't have locks, because locks is a beautiful hairstyle. I think people just have to learn the history behind where locks came from, because or like the hair thing, or like, don't assume. Let me say that. Don't assume what nationality that I am because of my hair. There are different races who have different kinds of textures and form of hair. So I think that's a boundary that people cross when it comes to hair and style. Cam, you want to elaborate more, or you have a different idea?
Yeah, you guys can drop your thoughts in the chat, but one boundary that I have, for example, is like the Halloween costume thing. A lot of people dress like Pocahontas or like Jamaican and things like that. But are you appreciating the culture or you appropriating the culture? Like, you find a value in our culture is appreciating it, but appropriating it is something that you just can't do. Don't just dress up for Halloween as Jamaican or Pocahontas and things like that, because that's disrespectful to that culture. But I would love y'all to drop your comments and your thoughts in the chat.
Okay, so important conversation number 4 is, you don't know what it's like to stop. You don't know what it is like to mind your business and get stopped by the cops and not know if you're about to die or not. You worry about your life, so you take mines. So as you can see in this chart, whites are the green and yellow are the blacks. So you have protecting people from crime. 78% of white people feel like they are protected by their police officers, their communities. On the other hand, Black people do not feel safe in their communities. They don't feel protected by the police. And I, I want to stress on, you worry about your life, so you take mine. And we're going to get more into that later. But I want y'all to really think about that. How many cases do you see on the news where African Americans getting killed live on camera by a police officer? That's unacceptable, and it's real life. We're not making up anything, and it's so many more cases that hasn't been presented locally, globally, because just the color of our skin. So Cam, you want to say anything?
Yeah, in this conversation too, like looking in this graph, you can see, okay, basically, police police's job is to protect the community, protect the people where they are hired at. If you're looking in this graph, protecting people from crime, white people, 78% of white people feel protected from crime, while only less than half, 48% of Black people feel protected. Why is that? Why aren't we all feeling protected? They're supposed to protect the people, not just white people, not just Black people, people as a whole. So how can we change that? Like, what things we can implement in the police system, like with training and how they should treat people, not having it be differences between races. And oftentimes, like for example, in the most recent Law and Order SVU episode, a lot of officers don't realize that they have a bias. Like, it's not something that they know, but when issues are brought up and they deal with something the wrong way, she was actually going to Olivia Benson. She's one of the officers on there. She treated a Black man in a different way, but she didn't really notice it. So how can we make sure that people notice it and open their eyes to how they're treating people, and not just, go over it and ignore the issue? Okay, you all. So this right here is a trauma warning. In the next slide, we will be playing 2 videos from issues that we find important. So if you all do not want to watch, you can mute your phone and step away and come back, or you can just turn it off and then come back to our room. So I'm going to move on to the next slide.
Okay, so as you can see, you have George Floyd, Freddie Gray, Emmett Till, Sandra Bland, and Breonna Taylor.
Anir skipping out. Yo, I'm telling y'all, the devil trying to get it. She got something powerful to say. But I'm a step in for it right here a little bit. And if she comes back, we'll be able to share. So right here, you can see more recent people, such as George Floyd, Sandra Bland. You can see Trayvon Martin, and the latest thing was Emmett Till. So Emmett Till was something that happened way, way back, but now we're still facing those same issues with police brutality and things like that. So how can we change those historically traumatic experiences and change from that, not repeating the same things over and over and over again? Like, is this something that's going to be happening in 2500 versus like us being in 2020 and the things still happening, or what's going to happen? So I'm about to show the first video.
Are struggling even more, which is why Subaru plans.
And at the beginning of this video, it doesn't have any sound. So Anita, could you like basically describe what was going on in that video? I know it cut you out.
So as you can see, you have this Black African American man who said he wasn't feeling well. And so because of that, he felt like they were endangered. And continuing on this video, it's police officers who ganged up on him. And part of that,
Okay, sorry, y'all. Anita's cutting out again. But in this picture, Michael Sabi, he was saying that he wasn't feeling well, and as a result, you can see that he was mistreated by police in the jail, and they kind of like slammed him, and then there's a lot of people were ganging up on him, and it's something that wouldn't be happening if if Michael Sabi was white. I will now show this next video of Sandra Bland.
Hello, ma'am. With the Texas Highway Patrol, the reason for your stop is you failed to signal your lane change. Got your driver's license insurance with you? Can you give me a few minutes, all right? You okay?
I'm waiting on you. This is your job. I'm waiting on you. What do you want me to
Oh, you
say?
seem very irritated.
I am. I really am. Because I feel like this crap is what I'm getting the ticket for. I was getting out of your way. You were speeding up, tailing me. So I moved over and you stopped me. So yeah, I am a little irritated, but that doesn't stop you from giving me a ticket. So.
Are you done?
You asked me what's wrong, and I told you.
Okay.
So now I'm done, yeah.
Okay. You mind putting out your cigarette, please, if you don't mind?
I'm in my car, but I have to put out my cigarette.
Well, you can step on out now.
I don't have to step out of my car.
Step out of the car. Step out of the car.
No, you don't have the right.
Step out of the car.
You do not have the right to do that.
I do have the right. Now step out or I will remove you.
I refuse to talk to you other than to identify myself.
Step out or I will remove you.
I am getting removed for a failure.
Step out or I will remove you. I'm giving you a lawful order. Get out of the car now or I'm going to remove you.
And I'm calling my
I'm going to yank you out of here.
Okay, you're going to yank me out of my car?
Get out.
Okay, all right.
25.
Let's do this.
Yeah, we're going to.
Yeah, don't touch me.
Get out of the car.
Don't touch me. I'm not under arrest. You don't have the right to take
You are under arrest.
I'm under arrest for what?
25
For what?
7 County FM 1098. Just
For
north
what?
of 290. Send me another unit. Get out of the car. Get out of the car now.
Why am I being apprehended? You're trying to give me a ticket
I said
for the
get
failure?
out of the car.
Why am I?
Okay, so Ania, would you like to explain that video right there of Sandra Bland?
So y'all had two demonstrations on, you had a police brutality, one with a Black African-American male and an African-American female. And as you can see, Cam and I are both African-American females. That could have been either one of us, and it could have been either one of y'all. And in our previous slides, we said they worry about their life, so they take ours. And in all these pictures right here, Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Freddie Gray, and Emmett Till, all of them died because of police brutality. And I'll put Emmett Till in there because age doesn't matter to them. He was a kid. They didn't see age, they saw color. So I want y'all to remember that we all should be loved, and we all are. We should focus on like what the problem really is. So let's go on to that next slide. So I want you to take a few moments to read this slide. And I'll read it for you while you read it. We said Black Lives Matter, never said Black Lives Only Matter. We know all lives matter. We just need your help with hashtag Black Lives Matter for Black Lives Are in Danger. Black Lives Matter too. Police brutality, racism, systematic racism needs to end. Okay, let's go to that next slide. So I want y'all to rethink the word die, okay? So instead of killing one another, let's remember that D means we are all diverse. We are all come from different backgrounds. And remember that all of us are individuals. We have individuality. We have our own personality. We are our own person. And so let's empower one another. Let's take a time to learn each other's history/herstory, learn culture and more. I should explain.
Yes, I would love to explain Ubuntu. So in the slide, well, the picture to the right, you can see Ubuntu is in the middle and all of the arms are connected. Without one of those arms, they aren't who they are. So Ubuntu means I am because we are. If I'm not seeing the community around me succeed, how am I going to feel successful? How are we going to make our community better and really create building blocks where we can all connect and have that same equal result of being successful, of being a great community? So let's think about that and things that we want to do in order to create Ubuntu. So lastly, since we laid all that heavy information out on y'all, we want to leave y'all with some coping strategies. So this is the healing sensitive engagement part. Healing from trauma is found in awareness and actions that address the conditions that created the trauma in the first place. So all throughout this, you all were already starting that coping process. We already talked about like historical trauma and some of the things that, well, thinking about some of the things that we can do in order to address that trauma and stop that trauma from happening. Secondly, the pathway to restoring well-being can be found in culture, building a healthy identity and a sense of belonging, supported by rituals and stories. So all throughout this, we talked about the stories of the lives, which are actually true stories about the lives of people that were victims of police brutality. And you were building that identity and restoring that identity by knowing more about your people. Thirdly, going beyond treating emotional and behavioral symptoms and building on collective strengths and possibilities. Like I said, you all are leaders. You came and made it your business to come on here and learn more about what your people went through and how we can spark change in our communities. And lastly, it supports the well-being of those practitioners supporting the community healing. So you see us on here, please come, support, book us for an event for your organization and have us be a part of your community for healing sensitive engagement. So I want to give a huge thank you to everyone that stayed. I'm sorry that we went a little bit over. And if you want to contact us, you can hit us up at ania.mcnair@aol.com and camrymoses10@gmail.com. And I'm sorry we don't have any time for questions, but I really think.
Okay, you got 4 minutes, Kim. You got 4 minutes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. But
Good.
yeah, do any of y'all have questions for us? And is there anything that you want to say near the end of?
I just want y'all to remember that all of y'all are important. All of y'all have a design purpose on your lives, no matter what age you are. And that remember that let's learn each other history and herstory. Let's come together. We can change some things. That's why we're called Healing Youth Alliance. Let's do some healing up in here. I hope y'all really enjoyed the presentation. It was designed for all of y'all. I hope y'all learned something new. Please open that link in the chat. Give us some feedback, but we are open to any questions. Drop them in the chat, please. Even if we not get to them right now, y'all have our email, send it to us. I promise we'll reply back for sure.
Yeah, and that link that they were talking about in the chat, everyone, thank you so much. That link is a satisfaction survey. It's also a place for us to identify if you would like the Healing Youth Alliance to reach out to you. So please click that link and do that satisfaction survey for us, so people can know how much you enjoyed this great presentation. Go ahead, y'all. Great job.
I'll address Miss Ariel's question first, so how you can like be more involved with our organization. So like I said, book us with organizations that you're involved in. Tell other people about us and what we just did with you, or share about your experiences on different social media platforms so more people can come and book with us. And if you got a question you want to address, and if we don't answer your questions, please, like I said, I can't stress this enough, email your questions to us.
One of the questions was, how was this process? What was the involvement? Like, how did we do it? We had classes, we had to learn. And because of that knowledge, we was able to present that knowledge to you. It was most definitely a process, but we made it here today. So unfortunately, I believe our time is up. But please, I hope you took a screenshot of our emails. Email us. Again, if you don't have it, take a picture right now and email us. Please.
And before everyone leaves, if you could please join us back in that home room where we all started, that would be great. I'm going to drop that link in the chat for everyone. So head back to that home room and we'll have a little debrief.